Imagine diving into a labyrinth where sunlight has never reached, where each wrong decision could entomb your body in a grave of stone and darkness. Or walking through a dry cave where the walls seem to close in around you, and every movement could trap you in a dead-end snare. Two groups, two mistakes, and a question that will linger in your mind. How did they end up in this situation? Welcome back to Abyss Stories, and today we will uncover real tales that prove the true danger lies not just in the darkness, but in the illusion that we are in control. Imagine an underwater adventure where each breath could be your last, and a simple mistake turns into a real nightmare. On the stunning beaches of the Yucatan Peninsula, Mexico, lies a world that few dare to explore. The Sac Actun, the largest submerged labyrinth on the planet, with over 368 kilometers of tunnels and mysterious chambers. It was December 2004 when 9 divers, veterans of numerous expeditions, prepared to unveil the secrets of this hidden vastness. With great precision, each member meticulously checked their equipment, regulators, cylinders, reels of rope, and the indispensable plastic markers used to avoid getting lost in the darkness, where visibility is reduced to a few centimeters. These items were more than simple tools. They were true lifelines. The strategy was meticulous. Divided into 2 groups, Team A, led by an experienced guide, would descend first to pave the way and mark the safe route with colored markers. Close behind, Team B would follow, relying on the guidance left by their colleagues. As Team A Dove, the natural light dissipated, giving way to an almost supernatural twilight. The only sound breaking the silence was the constant rhythm of bubbles, a sign of human presence in that enigmatic environment. Upon reaching the first crossroads, the leader fixed a yellow marker on the guideline, a clear and reassuring signal for the group that would follow. Everything proceeded as planned until, after about 30 minutes of immersion, Team B encountered the second intersection. At this critical point, an apparently innocent slip occurred. Instead of turning right, following the safe path, the divers opted for a detour to the lefty. In my searches, I did not find the reason that might have caused their confusion, but I believe that the current may have carried the marker in the wrong direction, and along with the darkness of the environment, led them to make this grave mistake. This decision, almost imperceptible at first, led them through 1,400 feet, about 430 meters, of tunnels that dangerously distanced them from the exit. As they advanced through that dark corridor, the environment that once inspired calm gradually transformed into a scene of uncertainty. The water, agitated by hurried movements, stirred particles that drastically reduced visibility. In a few moments, safety gave way to anguish. The divers realized they were far beyond the planned route, lost in a labyrinth where the sense of up, down, and sideways was confused. With time running out and oxygen becoming an increasingly scarce resource, panic began to set in. In an emergency act, one of the members resorted to the technique of buddy breathing, sharing air from the cylinder with a colleague in a desperate attempt to prolong both their survivals. While despair settled in the depths, Team A completed its mission and surfaced, retrieving the markers they had left behind, unaware that their companions were still struggling against the underwater labyrinth. Upon reaching the surface, the sense of triumph quickly gave way to alarm when they noticed the disappearance of Team B. Without hesitation, the guide and other divers equipped with extra cylinders returned to the darkness, initiating a frantic search. Hope was renewed with each meter covered until, just about 250 feet from the entrance, they located the first pair from Team B, exhausted, with nearly empty tanks, but alive. However, the brief joy was soon replaced by horror. In the spot where they expected to reunite with the others, the light revealed a devastating scene. 2 motionless bodies hung near the cave ceiling, with regulators devoid of any pressure, as if the cave itself had swallowed them. Facts about the Sac Actun reveal that, besides being the largest submerged cave system in the world, it holds archaeological remains of the ancient Mayan civilization and harbors unique biodiversity. This setting of beauty and mystery is also the stage for tragic stories that remind us of nature's unpredictability and overwhelming power. I confess that whenever I search for these stories to share with you, I feel less inclined to explore caves, which, honestly, I wasn't very eager to do even before learning about them. Our next story is an adventure that, at first glance, seemed like a simple expedition, but quickly turned into a real nightmare. On December 27, 2003, a group of 8 boys from the San Antonio Boy Village, accompanied by 2 counselors, set out for the famous Boy Scout cave in Florida. Among them were Michael Sharrow, 15, and Javik Henderson, 16, 2 audacious youths eager to prove their courage and explore the dark recesses of that cave, notorious for its narrow passages and abrupt turns, but considered safe due to its stable structure and dry conditions. With only 9 flashlights in hand, the group began their descent shortly after noon. As they moved away from the entrance, one of the counselors remained outside, lighting a small fire to keep warm, while the boys delved deeper into the cave's meanders, unaware that this decision would add a sinister touch to the adventure. Led by Michael and Henderson's determination, the youths advanced through narrow passages where each movement required extreme caution. With each step, the environment became more claustrophobic, and the increasingly heavy air amplified the sense of confinement. About an hour after starting the exploration, they reached a particularly challenging section known as the U-turn. This stretch, a true natural bottleneck, consisted of a narrow horizontal crack in the rock, with small twists that allowed only one person to pass, followed by an almost 180-degree turn that concealed what lay beyond. At this point, the boys paused to assess the situation, and the absence of the counselor, who could offer guidance and support, weighed on them. Determined to lead, Michael advanced through the tight space, contorting his body to move forward, with Henderson right behind. However, during the traversal of an especially narrow curve, Henderson found himself unable to proceed, stuck, unable to move forward or backward. His accelerated breaths signaled the beginning of a true nightmare. Noticing his friend's difficulty, Michael immediately turned to help. While the others waited anxiously in a slightly wider part of the passage, the effort to free Henderson turned the environment into a scene of panic. The sound of exertion, labored breathing, and muffled cries echoed off the damp stone walls. The friction of the rocks against their skin intensified the pain, and each movement required superhuman effort. Henderson, contorted unnaturally, felt the sharp edges of the rock piercing his sides, while the sensation that the cave itself was closing in on him became increasingly real. As the minutes turned into an hour, cold and fatigue began to take over. Even with the relatively mild temperature, the lack of movement and constant contact with the cold stone caused body heat to dissipate rapidly. Then, without any warning, Michael felt his vision blur and his muscles weaken. In the blink of an eye, he collapsed, leaning against the narrow walls, while Henderson, still trapped, screamed for help. Desperation set in among the boys waiting outside, with flickering flashlights and the uncertainty of a situation that was quickly becoming unsustainable. Outside, the counselors, unaware of what was happening deep within, were startled by the breathless account of the boys who reached them. With pale faces and a keen sense of danger, the adults extinguished the campfire, and one of them immediately dialed 911. In less than an hour, rescue teams, specialists in caving, arrived at the scene, equipped with belts, hammers, and an unwavering determination to face the narrow and treacherous tunnels of Boy Scout Cave. The rescuers advanced cautiously, following the route described by the remaining boys. Upon reaching the dreaded U-turn, they encountered a distressing scene. Henderson, still conscious, but trembling and pale, and Michael, unconscious, lying nearby. Time was crucial, and signs of hypothermia were intensifying. Each hammer strike against the rock seemed to resonate as an urgent call against the relentless silence of the cave. After about 2 hours of intense effort, Michael was finally freed, his body cold, with a weak but still beating pulse. With extreme caution, the rescuers secured him in a harness and, step by step, led him back to the entrance, where medical teams awaited to combat the effects of prolonged exposure to the cold. Although both boys survived and received immediate treatment, the traumas of that adventure would leave deep scars. What would you have done in their place to avoid these 2 incidents? I honestly would have stayed home in the comfort of my couch. If you enjoyed this story, click on the video appearing on the screen, and it will take you to another exploration story that ended terribly wrong. Also, leave in the comments which story you would like me to research and bring. I hope you enjoyed it. and see you in the next video.